When you look at what the boreal forest means to the global community, it's been described as the lungs of the planet.
To value the boreal forest for what it is, which is the world's largest intact forest. It holds 25% of the world's wetlands, 11% of the world's freshwater. It's the bird nursery to over 3 billion birds. Plus, it's home.
Come over to our traditional territories. Come and visit us. We'll show you our rivers. We'll show you our trees. We'll show you our pictographs, our ceremonial sites. We'll show you what they mean. We'll show you our elders, why our elders are always talking about the land, how to live with and off the land.
If you really want to know us, you have to come into our home and eat with us and breathe with us and spend time on our land and really take the time to get to know who we really are, because it's hard for us to be fully ourselves in an urban environment, and one where we don't feel that pulse, that connection to the land in the same way that we do here.
The boreal forest is absolutely important because to us, our identity is embedded within the land and expressed through the trees itself, through the land itself, that carries that identity of who we are as a people.
We depended on the land so much that we are part of the land. Our names in many tribes are people of the land.
There is a very strong connection culturally, spiritually, to the boreal forest with the indigenous peoples of the boreal.
We come from that land. You can't remove us from it.
Askiwinok, that means soil people. That's our name. Askiwinok. That's who we are. We're related to this land.
It's hard to put into words that connection that you have when your ancestors have lived here for so long, thousands of years, time immemorial, and you are living in that same landscape, and how connected you are to that through your bloodlines.
The boreal forest is the last ancient forest on Earth that is relatively intact.
Those forests that have never had a road cut through them, that have never had logging machines go in, that have never been mined, these forests are really valuable. And by the way, they're pulling in our carbon pollution, and they're filtering our water, and so we need to leave them standing, we need to leave them whole.
Most of the time people think of tropical rainforests as sort of the most carbon-rich places, but the Canadian boreal and the boreal ecosystem globally holds more carbon than any other terrestrial ecosystem on the planet. Most of the carbon in the boreal is hidden. It's where you can't see it. It's not in these big trees. It is in the soil. It is in special types of soil. It is in the permafrost that is, now frozen soil that's locked up centuries and centuries worth of carbon. It's also in the incredible peatlands, the boggy forest. It often feels very sponge-like, and it's because of just the decades and centuries of organic material that falls onto the floor, makes this rich soil, this carbon-rich soil, and it's so important to the healthy and stable climate that we seek.
There are countless lakes, there are countless rivers, wetlands with water standing. In some places, 75% of the surface is water.
And the elder said, the number one thing we have to do is protect the water. The number one is water.
Water is life. Our people truly believe that. If you don't have water, nothing lives. So it's important to talk about protecting the water.
There's so much water in the boreal, it's been referred to as a blue forest.
It is the habitat for hundreds of different species, including many that are threatened and who rely on this intact forest to survive.
So all those animals we care about, wildlife, birds, migratory birds that seem to do these heroic voyages from the tip of Canada to the southern tip of South America, like fish and mammals and grizzlies or belugas or caribou. Most of us want to share the planet with all these critters and know that we didn't actually stamp them out, that we found a way to coexist.
In our history, we relied on the caribou to survive all year round. It was the central animal that provided life for us. We got our tools, our food, our clothing just from one animal.
Birds are such an integral part of forests. They get their food from forests. They nest in forests. Forests are habitat for birds.
So we did some modeling work and have determined that there are 1 to 3 billion birds that nest in the boreal forest every year. In the fall, when you add the young of the year, that means there's 3 to 5 billion birds that come flooding out of the boreal forest.
And so it's a really rich tapestry, both of water, carbon, species, and indigenous cultures that have evolved in those landscapes over thousands of years.
What we're seeing today is a gradual encroachment by industrial society into the boreal.
We put more and more pressure on the environment. It behooves us to be able to preserve and keep those remnants of the original landscape that we can, as best preserved as we can.
The land doesn't belong to us, but we belong to the land, and we also have that duty to protect the land.
It's the boreal forests that are this incredible conservation legacy that we are stewards over.
If we don't protect the boreal forest, we've lost the chance as a species.
Our ancestors created this sacred place amongst the trees, right within the midst of the boreal forest. That's what the boreal forest means to me and to our people, how sacred that the trees are, that they hold the memory of our creation. They remember the stories of the past when our people were on the land, taking care of the land. And it is said that if you want to hug the Creator, then hug a tree. That's why the boreal forest is so important to us, because we're surrounded with that opportunity to be able to go to the trees and hug the trees, to know that the Creator is real.
Our parents, when we're kids, they tell us to hug a tree. And that tree is 300 years old. So they saw, they heard, and they talk to you.
We've been here for tens of thousands of years. And each tree that comes brings from the seed that it came from the original tree is the memory of that journey of the original people of this part of the world. It's in every tree. The memory's in the tree.
Biodiversity is so important for the sustainability of the planet. All of the different species that interrelate with each other have a purpose and have a role to play. And if we remove any of them, something is going to be lost from the whole system.
And the elders have said it eloquently and very simply. If you want to learn about life, let me take you to the land. Let me take you into the forest and hear the trees as they share the remembrance of the origins of creation.
Everything that is alive, everything that you see was created. And when it's created and you're part of that creation, then it becomes your family.
When we can reach this level of understanding to know that we are brothers and sisters, it does something to your spirit. One said, I'm your brother, you're my brother. It does something to you. It does to me when people say that. Rather than look at me as something different or disconnected, I'm connected, you're connected, we're all connected.
That tree is family. That's home to many birds and insects, and it retains our water, and it puts fresh air in the atmosphere. Fresh air. What a job.
The fact that trees breathe out, if you will, oxygen, we breathe in that oxygen, and then we breathe out carbon dioxide, which they breathe in. How much more connected could we be with the living world than that, where we're actually exchanging, the air that we breathe back and forth?
When we start looking at the very cycles of life, the carbon cycle, the water cycle, the phosphorus cycle, these are all dependent on these collaborative relationships, these kinds of symbioses. That is the dominant way that species have evolved, that it's really about coevolution, not the evolution of a single species on its own.
People are part of the living landscape of a place like the Boreal Forest. They're not separate from it the way sometimes people from the US, European cultural tradition comes from, that, we're sort of the rulers of nature and we're separate from it.
We humans cannot live without all the other life forms that surround us in the world. They provide us everything that we need. Therefore, we have to look after them. We can't destroy them or we destroy ourselves.
There's an elder from Shehajit who said, if you take a part of my forest out, it will no longer be a forest. And I don't know what that will become, but I know that I will not survive there.
Physically, we've evolved from the land. Everything that is of the land is in us. We're the land. So whatever you do to the origins of that physical life that we call Mother Earth, you damage that and you're damaging yourself. You're hurting yourself.
So the world's forests are an important part of the climate story. We currently emit 40 billion tons of carbon dioxide every year. About a third of that gets absorbed by the world's forests, by the world's forest carbon sinks. So those carbon sinks that are absorbing the CO2 we emit are acting as an extremely important buffer on the rate of climate change. Without the forest carbon sink, CO2 would be increasing 30% faster in the atmosphere, and temperatures would be increasing correspondingly at the same faster rate. So this is a very important service that the world's forests are providing us, and the Boreal Forest is a big part of that.
Yeah, use us. I'm your grandpa. Remember I was here first? I'm the tree. Use me. These are the things that I do.
Well, if we're going to be able to arrest the onset of climate change, we have to come to an agreement on the protection of the boreal and recognize the role that the boreal will play in terms of saving humanity. It's where it really comes down to, because we're at risk.
Forests are home and habitat for 80% of the species, the terrestrial species that we share this planet with. And so conserving forests is both critical to stemming climate change, as well as halting the precipitous decline in biodiversity that we're experiencing.
We've survived and thrived on these lands for thousands of years. I think it's time that Indigenous people rise up. And when Indigenous peoples are holding the pen, at least 60% of the land is protected. And it's all about that precautionary approach that is innate in our sense of responsibility and in our definition of what it means to be a good person in this world. Indigenous peoples have been just waiting for the opportunity to protect more land and to really reconnect and invest long-term in the protection and management of our forest, either through Indigenous protected and conserved areas, tribal parks, and to have people in those places working and loving and caring and seeing and warning as guardians.
We don't venerate nature. We don't understand nature in the same way that we should. We don't think we're connected to it. But these last remaining forests are critical to our survival on this planet.
As a people, we have always believed that the earth was alive, that she is a living being. It's a living entity, but also recognizing that the land has an intelligence. We don't need to go any further than the land itself to be able to learn about life.
The forest is alive. The forest, the land, wants to talk to us. And what we've got to do is train humanity to listen.